Welcome, everyone. I'm Therese, and this is Living the Paradox, One Within Oneness. I'm an intuitive coach and energy guide here to support your spiritual journey, increasing awareness and compassion for yourself and others. Join me as we explore the ways you can live the paradox of individual consciousness, living within oneness. If you're experiencing a spiritual or psychic opening, are an empath trying to manage feeling everything, or wanting to learn how to integrate your spiritual journey into your daily life, stay tuned. You will gain tools and exciting insights on how to connect with and trust your inner guidance. Your personal journey helps lift humanity as we are all cells within the same body of consciousness. Living the Paradox starts now.
What a great show we have for all of you today. I'm Dr. Pat, and I have the honor, the privilege, the excitement of taking this journey with the one and only Janet Therese. Janet, look, this isn't a really important episode. 3 blocks to manifesting and how to overcome them.
Yes.
I can't wait. Let's get started, because I can't tell you how many calls or how many interactions in about the past month, let me say, where a number of things we're about to talk about, you could actually hear people saying and doing. And I think I did some of them too.
Right. Oh, me too. I'm right in there with you. So yeah, sure. Let's jump right in.
Yeah. First, let's talk about, why are we doing a show on this? Why are we doing an episode on this? And there are some very good reasons, because part of it too is, I don't think we know what we don't know.
Right. Right. It's a big topic. It's a big topic, and there's a lot of disparate beliefs. And I think that when we want to wrap our head around how it actually works, we can trip ourselves up. We can get in our own way because we don't understand how it's supposed to happen fully. And if you look at ancient texts and things that were written just so long ago, I mean, it's actually quite simple. We just have to wrap our heads around it, right? We just have to start thinking of it differently and getting our bloated nothingness out of the way, as Emerson says, right?
Yeah, totally. All right, let's start. We've identified 3. We're not saying these are the only ones, but we are saying that these float right to the top. So
Yes,
where do we want to start? Because I want folks that you're listening, please, if you have to go back and listen to this again, if you're watching, if you have to go back, but please jot a few things down. Go ahead, take us on the journey.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk about the first one. The first block, I think one of the biggest blocks is spiritual bypass. I know that there's so many definitions now. It's such a broader definition than it used to be. But I want to talk about it within the context of manifesting. Okay, so there's a 2-part answer as far as how does spiritual bypass fit within the context of manifesting. So the first part is avoidance of feelings, either by suppressing them or running from them. And the second part is using spirituality as a mask. And I definitely want to get into that, because that's a big one. Let's go back to the first one, just that avoidance of feelings or suppressing feelings. People get really creative when they don't want to feel something, right? I mean, I know I do. When I get angry, I find that I want to clean something. And I mean really clean something. So I'll be like in some random corner of my house on the floor with the toothbrush. And then I know, that's how I know. Oh, I better, Janet needs to take a little look-see within to see what's going on, right? That's my favorite avoidance technique, but it keeps the house really clean. But still.
I go to the movies.
Do you go to the movies?
That's it. Yeah. That's how I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Now, I'm sure people have their own list. I wonder if you're listening to this, what's on your list? What do? You may not get the toothbrush out like we do, but I bet we do other things, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's avoidance with substances, getting high, even coffee. A little bit of coffee is great. It opens the crown chakra. You feel good. You feel open. But too much coffee or any kind of caffeine will, oh my gosh, it's like you're like a pebble skipping on the pond. You can't get grounded. And that's great for people who don't want to feel, because you can't drop into your second chakra. You can't drop into your heart. So, we get very, very creative. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, to listeners, check in with yourself. What are some of the techniques that you use to, anything but feel that thing, right? Now, the second aspect of spiritual bypass is that mask of positivity. This is a big one, especially regarding manifesting, because it will actually prevent your manifestation. It'll keep your vision from happening. And it's kind of like la 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 la.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
is fine. Everything's
Yeah.
just swell. And
Yeah.
Ram Dass used to call it phony holy, right?
Yeah.
And I think what happens is it comes from this fear of being negative, because we're so afraid. We want to stay positive, only think of the positive. But what happens is it's the feeling that attracts your experience. It's the feeling frequency. So you can la 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 all you want. And what you're going to manifest is the feeling that's happening underneath it. It's going to override everything.
Yeah.
And it creates this buildup, this pressure, which only strengthens the block to the thing that you want. It's like playing two radio stations at the same time.
There is. And one of the things that you said, I want to point this out to people. There's a difference between what you just said and being positive centric or optimistic.
Absolutely.
Positive centricity and optimism, that's a whole nother show. But it's very different than what you just described, because it's not really what's going on, right?
No, it's not what's going on.
You lose somebody very close to you and you're like, it's all good. No, it's not. I'm sad.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, people are smart and they feel those disparate energy frequencies. It doesn't feel authentic. And it gives this whole law of attraction business a really bad reputation. It can be really annoying to people. So what you can do instead is what? Acceptance. Acceptance is the key. You can't shift anything until and unless you accept what's going on in the moment. So acknowledge what is. And, you don't have to pile on. You don't have to keep adding to the story, keep ruminating on the issue, but just remind yourself that you're looking at thought forms from yesterday's thoughts. And that's the effect of yesterday's thoughts that you're addressing. And this helps kind of remove some of the power that we tend to give to these thought forms that are, dragging us down. But, to go into practicing self-awareness and self-inquiry is really helpful. For example, I could ask you, do you believe in an abundant universe? And you may say, oh, yes, I do. But your emotional body is saying, well, yes, for everyone else, maybe, because I'm not worthy, or, whatever. And that feels awful. So if you're expressing positivity while holding emotion around lack and unworthiness and sadness and depression, you're creating that resistance, that block, right? That pressure. So rather than go into spiritual bypass and avoid that feeling and pressure, just sit with it. Go within, feel that feeling without judgment. Just acknowledge that it's there. And, is it coming from a much younger part of yourself? Maybe you picked up this belief from your environment growing up. Maybe it's not yours to begin with. Empaths, I'm talking to you. Sometimes we just pick up on what people are vibing around us, and then we entrain to that and we think it's ours. And maybe it's not. There's a lot of group consciousness going on right now that people are picking up on. So there's generational karma. Remember, we're all cells in the same body of consciousness. So we're feeling all of it. So it's good to check in and just kind of acknowledge what's there. The good news is it'll clear just by allowing it space and loving awareness. They're just thought forms, and they'll ripple out of your energy body on their own, as long as you keep an open heart while you're doing this. Oh, there it is. Think of it as one of your children coming to you with this issue. You're not going to get upset with them for having an emotion. you're going to allow them to express it so they can just tootle on their way, right?
Well, I want to ask you this. There is a misunderstanding, and it leads to the second block. There's a misunderstanding that this needs to be hard, that it needs to take forever. But I don't hear you saying that.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up. I had a teacher once. Oh, I loved her too. I love her. I still love her. She said that one of her mentors told her, sometimes you work on something and it heals in an instant. And sometimes you work on it for 10 years and it heals in an instant. So honestly, if whatever you're working on, if you're fully in the present moment, then it can heal in an instant, because no matter how long you dance around it, peel away the layers, when it finally heals, it heals in an instant. And the reason that it takes a long time for us is because we believe it has to. It just, we can't wrap our little brains around the idea that something can be gone just like that. And it's a thought form. They are all thought forms. We're looking at thought forms. The more you think a certain thought, the more energy you feed it with, the more it will show up in your physical environment of thought forms that we're looking at, right?
And there are tools. I mean, we've done some shows, we're going to do more where we talk about tools. Each of us has our own tool.
Yes.
You know, what I have discovered is this little thing called the brain tap, and I'm not affiliated with them, but some of us need to be immersed several times a day. And I always get asked, Janet, I always get asked the question, why is that, Pat? And I think it's because there are those of us that we have a lofty idea or a lofty dream. And so we take the steps forward to do that. Now, do we not run into challenges or obstacles? Oh, hello. We do.
Right.
But
Right,
how
of
we
course.
handle them really directs us. And I think that's the next block you're going to talk about, right?
Yes, exactly. The second block is your prosperity set point. This is what I call it. It's the whatever that you allow yourself to have, that you are comfortable having. Okay, where's your wall? And I'll give you an example. I work with a lot of coaches. And a lot of times they're thinking about raising their price, or maybe somebody's starting a new business and they're trying to figure out how to price their services. And if they come up with a certain price point, and that, yeah, I could do that, but I would really like to make this much. And that their brain feels fabulous about, yes, yummy, yummy. That feels great. I deserve that. But their body's going, and that means you've hit your wall, right? So how do you do that? How do you shift that? Because you can't, if you raise your price point to something that doesn't feel congruent within your body, then your business will go down. It will go down. I've seen it over and over. So the solution is to change your prosperity set point, right?
How do you do that? Let's talk about how you do it.
Okay.
Because I think when people hear how to do this, they're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I can do that.
That exactly. And it's easy and it's fun. Okay. My brother, I grew up in the 70s. We didn't have a lot. He, as a teenager, would go to the Mercedes dealer and sit in the cars, and he would test drive the cars, t-shirt and jeans. I mean, they just kind of chuckled at him, but he would do that. He would do that. That's how he did it. That's how he did it. Hang out in wealth. Hang out with those who have abundance. Do whatever makes you feel like, yes, this is for me. Because remember, we're all cells in the same body. If someone else has it, you do too. So it's not about, oh, they have it and I don't, right? So I want to address the listeners here. Notice if you felt some pushback in your body when I said to hang out in wealth. So super good opportunity for you to discover the beliefs that are holding you back. Was there a little bit of, I don't want to do that, and that feels kind of superficial? Whatever your beliefs are that come up for you, you'll notice them. Trust me. Write them down, reach out, let's connect for a session and get rid of it. Maybe take advantage of the giveaway I've got going for a free 20-minute session for this episode too. I just think money is so fraught, isn't it? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
people experience a lot of emotions around money, a lot of anger, resentment, or guilt for having it, guilt for not having it, guilt that other people don't, or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, I think what's happening now, and let's talk about this for a minute, because I think we're starting to see a hole getting poked into the veil of fear around money.
yeah,
And what do I mean by that? You and I have talked about this before. It
mhm,
wasn't long ago. It really wasn't long ago. I would say, let's just say, even a year ago, we were very unsure. We weren't sure-footed. There were a lot of things that we questioned. Are we going to continue to go through what we just went through? There was a
yeah,
lot of that. And then
yes,
time went on last year and things started to shift a bit. Things started to change a bit.
mhm,
And
mhm.
yet still at the end of the year, people were question marking. Now, fast forward to where we are today, and you start to see people change. You see more businesses being started by women than you've seen before. You also see more business not being successful, but
Right.
some things are changing. Folks talk about a struggle. Are we in a struggle? What is happening when we use the word struggle? Where are we stuck?
That's that place. That's that beliefs, hitting your wall, wanting this, feeling this, right? And I think the reason this happens, especially on a broader group consciousness level, is because the innovation isn't visible yet. Now we're starting to see the innovation and people are starting to feel
Mhm.
hopeful again,
Yeah.
right? For a while, we felt very stuck. The pandemic was part of that too. Look at the innovation
Hmm.
that's come forward. People are living their lives differently too. They're working differently. Work life is very, very different. People are able to write their own how they want their life to look.
Yeah.
They can design their own life, how they want it to be. We're not being pigeonholed into work looks like this and life looks like this. And now we kind of have this more fluid way of doing things, and it's very creative. And and I think too, you could think of prosperity from that context. It's abundance of time with your family, abundance on all levels. And money's just energy. It's just energy. It's means freedom, time and capacity to live a joy-filled life, right? I think we place a lot of we take ourselves too seriously. We take it all so seriously. And then money turns into this thing that it's not. And it's really just a representation of something else, of
Yeah.
just energy flow, right?
I love that you talk about and you ask us, how does it feel? Because I think this is the key. I relate to your brother because one of the things that I know you do things like this and I do it, but when you're working with the client, one of the things I love to do in this arena, I say to them, what is the most expensive car you desire to drive?
Yeah,
Boom. I don't know what they're going to say. They're going
right,
to say some car. And then I say, by the end of day tomorrow, I want you to go to a dealership within 100-mile radius and drive one.
right,
Now,
right,
doesn't that sound so simple?
right, right. I
It's
know. So simple. And yet people resist doing it because they're
Mhm.
thinking within this limited
Yeah.
perspective. So all we have to do is just broaden that perspective. And that's all about raising your set point. Another way to raise your set point is with your imagination.
Hmm.
Remember, the mind can't tell the difference between imagination and memory.
Nope.
So think about what you ate for breakfast this morning. Just all the listeners, close your eyes unless you're driving. Don't close your eyes. And think about what you had for breakfast and just see how that shows up in your mind. Now, shift to something that you've never done before. You're sitting on top of the Empire State Building, whatever, looking around. And notice that it has the same quality. there's no difference between something you've done a million times and something you've never done before. The mind doesn't know the difference. So create the thought forms that you want rather than the thought forms from yesterday that we keep dragging into the present moment.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. I think we're gonna have to do a follow-up to this show. I mean, it's really so good.
I think we will.
And
So much to say.
yeah, there's so much to talk about, but I want to get these three in. And what I want to say to everyone, you see what Janet just said? I also want you to remember what she said earlier. I want to take a minute. Now, how do they schedule the free session with you? Because I think earlier you said, hello, I am offering for people that want to work on this, right? How do they do that? Because we're going to talk about the next block, but I got to ask you before we talk about the next block, how do they do this thing?
It's listed on the giveaway. There's a link under giveaways on my show page. So they should see it right there, and that'll take you right to the calendar, and we can get set up that way. But let's get to block 3 because this is just so important. One thing on block 2, try this tonight, an action item for everybody. Before you're falling asleep, I want you to fall asleep with the feeling of having this thing, whatever it is, a car, a home. Just go to the place of the feeling of it, not the details, just the feeling of it. It's done. It's already done. Don't forget to bring in the gratitude and just let yourself fall asleep in that feeling. Okay. So block 3. Oh my gosh.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. You're not the doer. You're not doing any of it. Okay. I think a lot of our problems start by trying to use the will of the ego personality to manifest. In other words, who we are not, right? And the most empowering thing you can do is to get yourself aligned vertically, getting right with divine intelligence, with God, with the all that is, with divine mind, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. Bring yourself back to loving awareness, remembering this is who you really are, getting really grounded in that reality because that's your natural state of being. And that's tapping into divine will and allowing it to move you. Okay, this requires letting go of control, which is really hard for some people, right? To have everything, you have to release all attachment to the outcome.
Yeah.
It's always better than you can imagine.
Yeah.
So turn it over. Turn it over.
Fear is underneath this, and you have talked about this on previous shows. Okay. Fear is underneath this. And so, but what you're saying is we have a death grip on outcomes.
Death grip.
Hello.
I know. Total death grip. Jumping out of a plane without a parachute because nobody really, or a lot of people, it took me a long time to get there myself, really believing that when you just let go, you're being held.
Yeah.
And you're carried the whole way.
Yeah. Let's talk about this, but I want to talk about this in the context of the statement I'm about to make to you. Someone once asked me, and I'm not going to talk about the answer on this show, but someone once asked me not very long ago, Pat, what would you do if you lost everything in your business? What would you do? Now, I'm sharing that because these are the type of questions we ask ourselves. We may not articulate it.
Right.
Right. But this is what we're talking about. See, if we think we are the doer, then we are going to react to that question in a very different way than the way you're about to describe it.
Exactly. If you've had it before, you can have it again. It's really as simple as that. If I've lost a lot, got it all back, lost it again, got it all back. It's how you deal with the experience. If you think you're the doer, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult. So
what can we leave people with on this? And also, especially around the doer part, you and I can do a whole show about the death grip, but what can we do? What can we leave people with? And certainly what I've learned is don't do it alone. So we need to remind them how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, definitely. You could go to my website, janettherese.com. It's JANETTHERESE.com. I want to give you a little action item here. Practice turning it over. How many things can you stop trying to figure out with your personality? That's not your job. Your job is to stay aligned and stay open. Remember, the fastest way to change your mind is to recognize that you are not your mind. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're conscious, creative, loving awareness. Your mind, thoughts, and emotions are the tools that divine mind uses for creative expression, right? And we're all the same. Everybody's wants are the same. We want joy, happiness, peace, love, rock and roll. So if you'd like to work more on conscious manifesting, please reach out.
Yeah, we all want Pink Floyd back. I know.
Yeah, no
I know we
kidding.
do.
Led Zeppelin, I'm good with
Yeah. Okay, so everybody, y'all gonna have to Google that.
that. For the youngins.
I know. What's your personal message? Emily, got that? What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today? And thank you for this topic. It is exactly what my sense people really wanted to hear today.
Oh, good, good, good. Oh, I could talk about this all day. One, I think we need to do another show on this because I think there's just a lot more we can talk about and drilling down on any one of these plus 100 other things. But I just want everybody to understand that you are the creativity. You are the creativity as divine mind moves through you. That's our job, to be creative. So allow it, just allow it.
I already know the next show on this. It should be Let's Talk Prosperity Stories.
Oh, let's do it.
OMG. And I love that because people see us sitting here as if we just floated here.
Right.
But you see, our vision and mission is to help people no matter what the size of the pothole that you think you're in. And that's what you've done today is you've made everybody aware of block 1, block 2, block 3, and you can get past it. So I want to thank you for that. Please give out your website one more time.
Yes, JanetTherese.com, JANETTHERESE.com.
Awesome.
Reach
I want to
out.
thank,
Let's
go to the website. You're going to get this session. Please do it. Thank you all. Thank you, Emily. And remember this, you have the power within you to do this. We'll see you next time.
I'm Janet Therese, and you've been listening to Living the Paradox, One Within Oneness on Transformation Talk Radio. We've been exploring ways you can live the paradox of individual consciousness, living within oneness. Tune in every fourth Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time for more tools and exciting insights on how to connect with and trust your inner guidance and how your personal journey helps lift humanity. For more information, visit JanetTherese.com. That's Janet Therese, THERESE.com.